All right, we're back for a new show number 3. I'm excited. We got a lot to talk about. Hopefully you enjoyed the last couple of shows. We talked about the Hall of Fame. We talked about Evan Gaddis. We got cut a little short. The first time when we were talking about the Hall of Fame, I wanted to hit on a couple of points.
A few more points we wanted to get to.
Go ahead and start us off.
Well, just with Craig Biggio, we had talked about kind of the lack of respect that he's getting from Gottlieb and people like that. And
it's the market, which is one of the real reasons I wanted to start this show, is to try to get a little more exposure out there for people in the Houston market.
Yeah.
Let's talk Astros. Let's talk Houston baseball.
Well, it's odd, to have those kind of comments that, well, he's just very good. He's not a Hall of Famer. That's crazy. It's crazy to talk to me. I don't get that at all. 3,000 hits is still a magical number. I don't care what generation you're in, and that's just crazy to me. But I thought we would compare him, like we did in the first episode. We compared him to Jeter, 20 years, and we talked about the media bias a little bit, but maybe somebody a little bit more of his peer in terms of position, Ryne Sandberg.
Ryne Sandberg, everybody thinks, hey, definite second base Hall of Famer.
He did. You made a point before the show to state that he, it took him 3 tries to get into the Hall of Fame as well. I thought he was, if you're a Hall of Famer, just get in the Hall of Fame, but whatever. If you compare the two numbers, or the two guys side by side, yes, Sandberg played 4 fewer years, but, Biggio's numbers are just dominant over him, man.
Well, longevity does count a little bit, right?
Sure, you do get points for that.
One of them was playing in Wrigley Field, one of them was playing the Astrodome.
That's true. And you had more power per at bat, I'm sure. For Sandberg had 282 home runs in 16 seasons, where Biggio had 291.
What? Biggio had more home runs total?
God. Yeah.
I thought Sandberg was the big home run guy.
Well, he was just an automatic. And Sandberg had less than 2,400 hits. We know about Biggio's hits. More RBIs, way more doubles. We talked about Biggio being top 5 doubles.
Yeah, doubles, 668 to 403. That's 265 more doubles.
Other than that, and better on base percentage, more steals. So all the things, and I would say
400 more walks.
I would say comparable defensive player. What do you think about that?
I'm gonna go lean Sandberg. Sandberg was one of the top second base defenders of he's
fine.
Roberto Alomar and then Sandberg, and I'll give Sandberg the nod there. Also, he played second baseman, pretty much exclusively. While Biggio was playing premium positions, catcher and center field, a little left field, but I think everybody would consider Biggio for the most part a second baseman.
Yeah, I would for sure.
But those numbers, while we all consider Biggio a second baseman, he didn't have 290 home runs as a second baseman.
Right.
So, I'm sure Sandberg gets looked at as he had 280 as a second baseman.
Did have an MVP as well.
He had the MVP. Biggio,
that helps. Helps the resume a little bit.
It does.
But I think, point being, very, good numbers compared to somebody in the same position. Don't see how anybody can say Biggio's a fringe Hall of Famer or just a very good player who doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame.
Well,
I think that's up.
Hopefully we met our point. It doesn't really matter because 82% of the baseball writers that know, they put him in. They voted him. And Biggio is a Hall of Famer. And so we're going to leave it at that. But just to wrap up the Hall of Fame talk, there were some other surprises toward the bottom of the ballot.
But who didn't get in?
Yeah, and even more than who didn't get in, who didn't stay on the ballot. Carlos Delgado, one of the premier power hitters for any generation, and he's an afterthought. He doesn't even make the 5% necessary to stay on the ballot and get a second thought. I'm just shocked. I was
people thinking of him as just a one-trick pony, but he was a good hitter. He was a force. He was consistently hitting 40 home runs every year. 40. I mean, that's...
It was the wrong era to do that, I guess. I
guess so. God, man.
I guess Harlan Killebrew was lucky he wasn't in this era.
Really?
I'm stunned that Carlos Delgado...
3.8%.
That's it. 3.8%
off the ballot. Done.
And he's done.
That's crazy to me.
The other people to mention, I think we mentioned a little bit, but I'm a big Edgar Martinez fan, only 27%, but he, some people don't like that he was just a DH. Mussina and Schilling Jeff Kent, only 14%. Fred McGriff is someone I'm on the fence with. I
am
don't.
too. He was very good.
He is very good.
I don't know if I think of him as a Hall of Famer, but he was doing some pretty incredible things before all the suspicion of steroids. He was, he was awesome.
Yeah,
man.
I never heard anything.
No, I've never heard him attached to that at all. But I'm saying his numbers, I feel like they're very legit. Like you don't feel like there's any stigma around him.
They are.
That's something to consider.
And
different eras.
But what I really want to do is we're talking Houston baseball today, and I want to talk about my boy,
Somebody
number
else
5.
Didn't make it. Yeah.
Number 5. Speaking of number 5, he got 55% of the vote. I think that's a good sign. I'm thinking he gets in 2017. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Griffey gets in next year with Piazza, and then the only person left for 2017 is Baggy, and he gets in. And I will be there.
I don't see how it doesn't trend up for him over the next couple of years, at least to get up to 60, maybe 65% next year, and then see him go in. Then the next season would be nice and probably appropriate. Once Piazza's in, I think they'll turn their sights towards Bagwell, and they're going to vote for him to get him in as well.
Now we were talking about Fred McGriff just a minute ago, and I was not, I'm like, not a. I just don't think Fred McGriff, for me, was quite a Hall of Famer. He might be if I looked at the numbers a little bit deeper.
He was never a top 5 player in the league, I think. I mean, you might in MVP voting maybe, but you didn't consider him as like, wow, he's Barry Bonds' peer or something like that.
And he just didn't do everything on a field that Bagwell could do. Bagwell, you're talking about, the steals, man. When you talk about Bagwell, you're talking about just a guy that knew the game. That when you watched him, you're watching a baseball player. We're not even going to talk about that he played a majority of his career in the Astrodome, where it was not easy to hit.
Which hurts his power numbers, which people automatically look at as that's his resume, which just doesn't tell.
Right, first baseman. You got to compare it to for other first basemen.
It's not about those home runs
and power numbers. They're going to be like, how can you say Fred McGriff, Bagwell, yes, and Fred McGriff, no? Fred McGriff had more home runs. 493 home runs compared to 449 for Bagwell. Well, I want to tell you, Jeff Bagwell never hit a home run as a designated hitter.
That's true.
He has more home runs as a first baseman than Tomei, McGriff, Thomas. So, anybody that wants to compare that...
How many did Palmeiro have as a first baseman?
I don't know. I'd have to do the numbers. You caught me on that one, but... Palmeiro, I think,
Gotcha.
we're on a different level with Palmeiro.
Sure,
and
but he still hit over 500 home runs, so that's a lot of home runs.
I was a big Palmeiro fan, and I probably would have voted for him if I had a vote, because no matter what you think about the steroid era, yes, he did get caught. Man, 3,000 hits, 500 home runs. It's still hard to do. Would he have done it without the steroids? Who knows? And I guess that's the big question mark. So I respect anybody that wants to leave him off. But we're talking Bagwell here.
Sure.
We're talking Baggy. And anybody that saw him play, which apparently is not enough people.
Only 55% of people saw him.
Apparently only 55% saw him play because, I mean, if you saw Jeff Bagwell play, you knew this guy is a Hall of Famer. That's what makes me mad is we're in the Houston market. He's not on national TV all the time. He didn't have a big flamboyant personality. He wasn't doing commercials nationally. This is a guy that was quiet, went about his business, led by example, dedicated to his job and his franchise for 15 years. And I'm a huge Bagwell fan. I am a little biased. But the numbers back me up. You're talking a Rookie of the Year, 1 MVP award, although he should have had 2.
It got yanked, man. Chipper beat him out. 99?
Chipper had 2 good weeks that won the division, stole it away from the Mets. That's all the voters would remember.
Great weeks.
So Chipper wins the MVP, takes it out of Bagwell's hands. But Bagwell did come in second that year. I mean, he's top 9 in MVP voting 6 times. He had 5 All-Star appearances. Bagwell had 4, I'm sorry. And Bagwell had a Gold Glove, which you could say he was probably the second best fielding first baseman at the time. Just happened JT Snow with his one-trick pony.
Yeah, talk about a one-trick pony. That guy could field but man, that was about it. And yeah, Bagwell doesn't get any respect for his fielding prowess. He was awesome.
Well, he doesn't get it nationally, but inside the baseball world, you know, you hear people talking. I heard Bobby Cox in an interview talking about you could not bunt against this guy.
Mm-hmm.
He was always in your face.
Charging, making that throw to third.
He was always there, aggressive, and you know, he wasn't someone that was just charging and throwing the ball away. He was nails.
Oh, he's one of the smartest baseball players that I ever saw, and I think
Hands
that comes
down.
into play in another aspect of his game, which was base running.
Base running, the best I've seen.
I agree. And I can't think of a better base runner, especially, and obviously we're not talking about a guy who was lightning fast, but he stole, how many times did he steal over 30 bases?
He did have, he had over 200 steals, and he was a member of the 33rd club as a first baseman.
How many first basemen have stolen 30 bases?
Exactly.
I don't know, but best guy you ever saw go first to third on a base hit?
By far.
Incredible.
Unbelievable. And some of the slides he would do perfectly, you know, to get around the guy and just stick his hand back in
at home plate. Slide.
Yes.
That was incredible.
He's brilliant. Brilliant base runner. Brilliant fielder. Played in the Astrodome. Hit 449 home runs as a first baseman. And all the hardware that you want. You know, he came up short in the postseason, as did Biggio.
Yeah.
And you know, that should be a knock against him.
It is.
But
you know, career cut short by injury, also, you know, not something that people consider. You're not going to consider that. You got to play 20 years, or else we're not going to give you credit for what you could have done.
Just comparing him strictly to Fred McGriff, you got 488 doubles for Bagwell to McGriff's 441, and Bagwell played less time, not extending his career via the DH. Runs scored, Bagwell more, 15-17 to 13-49. Stolen bases, obviously Bagwell had over 200 stolen bases as a first baseman. And walks, Bagwell had more. Career batting average was 297 for Bagwell, 284 for McGriff. On base percentage, Bagwell was at 408 career.
That was awesome, man.
Slugging percentage, 540 career. And, you know, obviously that makes him 948 OPS.
I miss that guy.
He was just the best to watch. Number 5, Baggy. We love him.
Absolutely.
And
He'll get in.
One last thing I want to throw out there for Bagwell.
Go for it.
Only person ever in the history of baseball to post 6 straight seasons of 100 runs, 100 RBIs, 100 walks, and 30 home runs. No one. Not Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, Lou Gehrig, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, or even contemporaries like Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, Albert Pujols. Just Baggy. Now,
it's a pretty amazing feat.
Yeah, I'm a big Bagwell fan. It's a travesty that he's not already in the Hall of Fame. I understand we hit on the steroid thing last time. We're not going to revisit it. Prove it. Prove it. If you got something on Baggy, let's see it or vote him in, because it's ridiculous that he's not already in there. Man, these shows are flying by. We're trying to
fast. Let's talk a little bit before we go, though, about some of the non-roster invitees for spring training this year.
Yes, definitely. I'm excited, man. Some of the guys we get to see invited to spring training this year. It's happening.
Names, you're finally starting to see
it's happening. Mark Appel gonna be there. Carlos Correa.
Of course.
Colin Moran. There were 17 total, but we're just gonna throw out the ones that you guys have interest in.
Yeah.
Mark Appel, Carlos Correa, Colin Moran, Nolan Fontana, who I'm really interested in seeing. I think this guy is going to be
that utility guy, the super utility guy.
Like a Zobrist, a mini Zobrist, you know, the super utility guy.
The guy we need off the bench.
He was hurt last year, and so we didn't really get to see him progress like I wanted to, but I think he's going to be a super guy.
You've always been high on him.
I want to see about Tyler Heineman, see what he's got to offer at the catching position. Preston Tucker.
Preston.
Yes, Preston. And
why wasn't he up last year at some point?
And Brady Rogers. Maybe Preston Tucker comes into the conversation if Chris Carter gets traded.
Fowler gets traded.
Marisnik and Grossman will be there. But I think Preston Tucker needs a chance too. So we'll get to see him and what he does in spring training. As we said, these shows are flying by. And it seems like we just started, but I want to remind everyone out there that this week, if it hasn't already started, depending on when we get this show up, that the Astros Caravan will be at your local academies this week. So go check out some of the players, get some autographs, go say hi. And we had some arbitration this week. I think we're down to just having Dexter Fowler and Marwin Gonzalez left.
That's right.
So hopefully by the next time we talk to you guys, they'll be signed. And don't forget, Astros Fan Fest this Saturday. We're going to have the boys out there. I might take my girls, and we'll have a good time. Last thing before we go, it is Super Bowl coming up.
Okay.
And I think we just found out that we're going to have the Seahawks against the Patriots. You know who I'm for.
I certainly do. He's a big TB12 guy.
Yeah, I go touchdown Tommy. And
well, I'm going to go with they're playing so well. It's kind of hard to go against. I think they get outcoached. I think Belichick wins again.
Yes, that's what I like to hear. I'm going to go 28-24. Pats over the Seahawks. And I guess that's it. Wraps up another show from my brother Brian. I'm Brandon.
We'll see you next week.
Hey, go Stros.
Go Stros.